The reality is no one starts out being a top billing recruiter. Everybody has to start with nothing. Naturally, some of the best recruiters and the top performing recruiters seem to do all of these things.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Recruitment Podcast by Recruit CRM. I'm Kate O'Neill, your host, back with my very sexy husky voice today. I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold, so I'm going to sound a bit different to episode 1 with Brian. But I'm back and I'm here to bring you conversations with some of the best minds in recruitment. So as I said in the last episode, get yourself ready because we're going to be diving into some deep, very interesting conversations, not just today, but over the whole series of this podcast on everything recruitment. So I'm super, super excited. Okay, so today we're diving into a different topic. We are going over something that I know every recruiter wants to master, and that is the behaviours that distinguish great recruiters from the rest. So, what do top recruiters do differently? How do their actions set them apart and make them consistently successful, which is obviously what any recruiter wants. Now, I've got the perfect person to be talking to me about this today. I've got Lysha Holmes joining me.
Thank you very much for that intro. Northwest, we do West Yorkshire and we do London. It all sounds very parochial, but there's enough business in those areas, let me tell you. Keeps us busy.
Yeah. You are super busy. So welcome, Lysha. I know you've alluded to a little bit of the areas you cover there, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself to start us off?
I will. Thank you very much for having me. And I'm super proud and honoured to have been introed like that because I have been in this industry now for 26 years and I've still got the same passion and enthusiasm that I did on that first day in 1998 when I started in engineering recruitment. I've actually been in the rec to rec industry since 2002, but I launched Key Recruitment in 2005.
Oh, there we go.
So I have a very different stance to a lot of rec to recs in the market in that we and I have created a 100% inbound business by reversing the search. So we prefer to get a candidate to work with us exclusively, and we then work with them very covertly, very discreetly to ensure that if they're going to leave their current role, it's to go and work for a better opportunity in what we believe is the best hand-selected companies across the areas that I've said to you on our portfolio. It's a very brave way to go about doing it, and I'm sure we're going to come on to this because it means that your process has to be absolutely immaculate and you can't leave any stone unturned. I have been quite vocal about, I believe the recruitment industry goes through evolutions and it constantly changes. It's very innovative, and I think we're in a really exciting stage as an industry. I believe that rec to rec should be the pinnacle of how good recruitment is what is done. So I think and if rec to recs aren't fulfilling what I think are good, and we'll come on to this, how good recruiters should behave, then we've done our whole industry a disservice. I'm also a proud part of mental health and recruitment. We're not talking about mental health enough still. It was very 2020. I am a huge advocate for DEI, partnering with diversity in recruitment, and I'm a huge champion for working parents, for those who think slightly differently with their lifestyle, with sobriety. And I get a lot of people approach me for my exec coaching because I just look at the world slightly differently in the fact that everybody's different, everybody has their own right path. And most importantly, I'm here to champion those that are looking to enter the industry, as I know you do, by ensuring that my clients are incorporating this into their leadership practice, into their retention, and just ensuring that they're running businesses that are really thinking ahead, as well as looking after their current staff. So I'd like to think that I'm good fun, and the northerner in me, because I'm a Manchester girl, I say it as it is. I don't mince my words, and I'm truly passionate that our industry is human first.
Yeah, with you on that one. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, is because I know you will give honest answers, lots of value, and bring fun to the podcast as well, which is what we want. So good stuff. So for me, great recruiters, it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart as well. And success in this field comes down to understanding what behaviours make a real impact, and not only on clients and candidates, but also, and you alluded to some of this then, your personal growth as a recruiter. So today we're going to explore things like habits, mindsets, processes you talked about earlier that help the best recruiters thrive and consistently deliver exceptional results. So I'm going to come to my first question. So what are some of the behaviours you've observed in top recruiters that make them really stand out?
Okay, I think the word I'd like to start with is a holistic approach. So I think having a holistic mindset is where it's all the things I'm about to say and they don't compromise on any of the elements. Mm-hmm. So it could be that it's nature or nurture, that naturally some of the best recruiters and the top performing recruiters seem to do all of these things. And it might look to people observing them that there's not much effort to it. But I think the reality is no one starts out being a top billing recruiter. Everybody has to start with nothing. And I think it's ensuring, so for me, the first behaviour that you look for is that curiosity in learning and developing. And that doesn't mean necessarily, and I really hope we're at a point in time where we are not fixated on graduates anymore, because the fact is that a lot of people won't be able to afford or choose to want to put themselves in so much debt, when I don't personally think a degree means you're going to be a top biller. But I think
I did a post about this today. So funny you say that. Yeah.
Why would anybody put themselves in so much debt? But anyway, that is a whole different conversation, isn't it? So I think the first thing that I would say in terms of behaviour, if we're looking at the umbrella of holistic, is the learning capability. And that can be represented, through the engagement process, understanding how they learn, what their behaviours are when it comes to taking constructive feedback. Now, that could be from when they've learned a sport, maybe they've been competitive in dance, judo, horse riding. How does somebody take feedback? Is somebody self-learning and self-critical to want to improve? And these are all things that you should be able to express. I think anybody that seems to have an element of it all, then they're not somebody that will ever become a top biller. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is someone who is, and I guess it's part B to that first part, is will be so inquisitive to go and ask questions that they're almost consistently annoying in their early career, because they're relentless with it. It's that relentless learning and relentlessness to want to understand. Now, that isn't just from their colleagues and their leadership team. It will be from their customers. They will be the ones that will ask more questions, leave no stone unturned, won't just take a job spec and go, right, thanks, bye, see you later. They will be the ones that will uncover and ask the awkward questions, go deeper, and really build that sort of information highway, I suppose, which allows them to truly know how to benchmark.
How important do you think relationship building is for recruiters, and what they can do to sort of genuinely connect with clients and candidates? Because I see a lot of opposing views on this. So just interested to see what you think.
I mean, why would you not want to? Because for me, the whole point of being in the recruitment industry is because it's connecting humans to humans. And if you are not in this industry to build relationships for yourself, you are, I'm very sorry to say, what we call a transactional recruiter. And I don't think there will be a job for you in definitely 5 years, possibly even a year, the way that AI is out preceding any expectations that anyone had. And, there's a lot of data being used. You can manipulate data for it to be whatever you want it to be. Let's face it, I'm not a data specialist, but that's true. That 35% of recruiters in 2024 left the industry, and so many people have messaged me and said, is it true? Is it true? Is it true? I said, it probably feels like it. It's a bit of a straw poll for me, but it probably feels like that. But I think, to answer your question, if you're not underpinning your service by truly wanting a relationship with your customer, and that doesn't matter whether it's a client or a candidate, you will never create an ecosystem, because they will right through that. And it doesn't matter whether you are, placing temps, perms, doing retained, none of it matters if you don't have a meaningful relationship. So I don't see what the debate actually is.
So you talked, earlier you mentioned about processes. How do you see the behaviours of top recruiters contributing to creating that efficient recruitment process?
Okay, headline is they don't ever cut a corner. They do everything every single time. You've used the word consistent, and ultimately that is, again, the foundation of anybody that's going to even have marginal success in recruitment, never mind top biller. If you just want to make sure you're billing every month or covering your cost every month, you need to be consistent with your behaviours and with your process. And if you are in a business that is hiring you now, it probably means that they've been okay with their process, because let's face it, if they're hiring, it probably means that they've survived one of the worst years I've seen since 2008, which, that was a pretty shocking year. So I would say, if you're listening and watching this now, and you're in a business that has set processes, they clearly work. Now, that's not to say you cannot use your creativity, you cannot question, depending on where you are in your own trajectory in your career, why you're doing certain things. But it's like, and I'm going to use a really naff analogy, but it really hits home, and I've only just thought about it, and it's because I am due to make this evening. I was watching MasterChef, which is a brilliant show on BBC One on iPlayer, and they were making these are the professionals, by the way, and they had to go and make burgers for Marcus what's it called? Marcus Wayford.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a professional. I can't think what it's called now. He's worked with Gordon Ramsay, and they had to make burgers. These are professional chefs, and if you think about the recruitment process, it's the ingredients, right? And it's having all the ingredients set out. So it's ensuring you've got your candidate's profile, you've got an understanding of their skill set, you've got their permission to speak to the company. And then on the other side of the ingredients, then maybe that's your spices and your herbs going in, or your egg and your breadcrumbs. And you've got your candidate over to your client. You've got, your client, you've got signed terms with your client. You've made sure you understand the process. So each component, if you take any bit out, you've got a burger that's going to fall apart. And that's what happened to a couple of the chefs. They forgot to put the eggs in, they forgot to put the bread.
I've done that before.
Right?
Crumbles.
And it literally crumbles and falls apart. And the reason I'm using that analogy, apart from the fact that I'm making homemade burgers tonight for dinner, I hope they turn out, is that if you actually remove any part of the process, even if you think you've done all the other bits and you've been doing it for 10 years, 5 years, doesn't matter, that possibly could mean at the latter stage, when you're serving that burger, when you're getting to the offer stage, that's why counter offers happen, because you've forgotten to do earlier on in the process. And I think some of the most successful people in recruitment, they've never forgotten or thought that bit doesn't matter.
Since we are talking about things like effective recruitment processes, the sort of behaviours of top, successful recruiters, I want to talk about a couple of aspects that are necessary for any sort of successful hiring strategy. Obviously, we need a great ATS, a great CRM, and I want to mention a couple of features. As I mentioned in episode 1, I use Recruit CRM. So these are parts of the software, I suppose, that I use, and it massively helps me simplify and enhance my processes. Now, first off, what I like about it is they have a really intuitive and user-friendly interface. I'm pretty good on tech, but even if you're not, it's very easy to navigate. It's easy to use. If we're thinking about getting things done quickly, ease of process, great for that. But secondly, and this is the absolute game changer for me, there is literally round-the-clock support. So if I go on and use something or try to do something and say I don't understand it, for example, I can go on a live chat and go through some typical questions. And if that doesn't help, I can speak to an actual person who is on speaking to me in live time, helping me, doing sometimes the task for me, sending me a helpful resource or I don't know, a link to an article. And that's around my working hours as well. It's whenever I need it on hand quickly. So for me, being able to understand, when I'm trying to implement a process or an effective way of working, and maybe I'm struggling with something on the system, I can nip that in the bud quickly. It's not a submit a question and wait 3 days. And for me, that is amazing. So if anyone is watching and you think, I want to see that in action, I want to trial it out, there is another incentive that they offer is an unlimited free trial, and their pricing plan is really transparent, 0 hidden fees. And you can if you go into the caption of this podcast, there is a link for all of this stuff. So you can very easily do it and just get access to some of the features that they have. And there's lots of AI features. lots of customizing, all of that stuff. So you can either visit the website and book the demo or follow the link in the description. So let's go back to the questions. Can you share an example of how, because obviously you speak to a lot of recruiters, how a recruiter's empathy and active listening have really made a difference in their work?
I think when I've physically worked with recruiters that have, the thing is, you can't teach those two things. You have it inherently as a human being. And it's those people that are not just, either doing it on the phone or, even the days before Teams in a physical face-to-face interview. They're the ones that they get to know the candidates, full family history, what they do outside work. They probably come in and go, oh my God, that, this has happened to their wife or their dog or their child or something. They will know every detail about that candidate. And I want you just to stop and think as I'm saying this. Now I'm covered in goosebumps, because when was the last time you had a conversation in a professional context where someone made you feel so listened to and safe and secure in what you were sharing? Now that could be your boss, it could be a colleague, it could be, someone that you share a lift with, but where they made you feel like that. And I think that's where we use the word empathy. We throw it around, oh yeah, we're empathetic, but it's how someone makes you feel. And you never forget how someone makes you feel. Now it could be, I think some of the best recruiters don't always necessarily place every candidate, but I can tell you what, every single candidate that they've ever come across will remember how they made that person feel. And it's about, not overthinking it actually, Katie. I think why I set my business up was because I wanted to offer a service because I was never made to feel like that. And when I was on the market, I was made to feel like a piece of cattle, quite literally, tech recruiter, get her out to a tech recruitment company. They didn't listen to me. And I think you never forget how that makes you feel from a bad point of view. So I think empathy can go two ways, but I think the best recruiters are those people that lift the lid on the skills, the experience, the Boolean search capabilities, what you put into your CRM. Forget all that for a minute while you're getting to know somebody and building a relationship. Going back to your previous point, empathy is what will make you relevant, right? And it will make you memorable. And then the active listening. I actually see this a lot, even doing podcasts, whether it's me as a guest or whether it's me hosting it. I think we've all become so busy that our brains are always thinking about the next thing, the next question. And as interviewers, when we're doing it in our day job as recruiters, we're thinking, well, shit, I need to get this candidate out. I need to get this candidate out for an interview. I need to hit my target. Oh my God, I've got my next call in 3 minutes and this one's run over. I'm not going to listen. I think our world has become so chaotic, and the recruitment industry is the most amazing industry, but it can also be the most, ludicrously busy, that sometimes we forget just how to be in the moment. And I would encourage anyone that if you are interviewing somebody or you're meeting a client or you're in an internal meeting, just turn this on silent for half an hour or however long the meeting is. Do you know what? It's a really nice feeling to get your time back. So I know that's not the answers you were expecting, but for me, it's what keeps us relevant and human, and it's how we should have always been. But we just all got a bit too busy.
Yeah, and I think I see this a lot when people have got more of that transactional approach as well. When I'm listening into people's calls or observing whatever, is they'll ask a question, the candidate will answer. There's no sort of reaction to what they've said, and it's like next question, and you just feel. I always feel for the candidate so much, because I'm like, you just are being made to feel like a number. That person is not interacting with you, or they'll crack a joke or something. They'll try and get some sort of a connection, and it's completely disregarded. And it's like, yeah, next question, because all they're thinking of is, yeah, I need to get this candidate out, or I need to do this, or my mind's somewhere else. And it's like, you are really missing a trick here, because that's when you're going to get dropouts. That's when you're going to get people, if it's temp, say, not turning up to shifts, because they've got there's no alignment with each other. Like, you just got to listen, just like you say, just calm down, slow down, and really hear what's going on. Because otherwise we talked about leaving no stone unturned. That's when you'll miss things. That's when you'll miss those little prompts that you should have probed on, those little things, because you're hearing, you're not listening.
Yeah, and it's not nuance, and I think that sometimes people think it is, and I think, do people still understand what a buying signal is in whatever sense that is? That's watching a behaviour, and if you're tapping away on your phone or you're not really listening, you can't hear that and you can't see that. And I think it's understanding the basic psychology around how we operate as people. And it goes back to, this is why they're so entwined, those two things, that if you're actively listening, your empathy, you can't stop your empathy. Because if you've got someone explaining to you maybe why they didn't hit their target or why they had to leave their job, or this is what happened in my personal life, you'd have to stop and go, oh my gosh, use the language that you would want to hear. If I was telling you something that had happened to me, which meant I wasn't successful, or this has happened, like, you'd be like, wow, not, okay, so what was your target? Like, whoa, hang on a minute, you'll get that information out of me. Don't make me feel like a commodity. And I think, to summarize this whole piece, how would you want to be treated in that scenario? That's it.
We're coming to the end, but there was just something like really relates to what you were saying that I wanted to bring up and I used to have this on a post-it note, literally right in front of me on my laptop, is that nothing anyone ever says or does is because of you. And again, we always make everything, and I talk to consultants about this all the time, and I used to be like this when I started out, well, not even when I just started, for a good 4 or 5 years of my career, maybe longer. I used to take everything so personally, and and that way we're thinking this world revolves around us, and it doesn't. You don't know it's a reflection of what they've got going on in their world. So that client that you ring for a chat and is a bit off with you don't know what's gone on in their life that day. That candidate that doesn't pick up your call when they said they would, yeah, it's annoying, but how do you know what's happened in their world that day? So before you go judging the situation, just it's like what we said, take a step back, slow down. And I think, that it's a lovely way to end. So I think it goes back to this holistic piece. I think this is what needs to be spoken more about recruitment, is what some people say is fuddy-duddy and too holistic. But I think this is the way you need to, put it this way, anyone listening or watching, Lysha's approach, she would not be as successful as she is now or where she is if it didn't work. I think that's the way to look at it, isn't it?
It's a very nice segue back to the fact that I used the word holistic, because I think we are at the precipice of a really intriguing time for the next 5 years, because we can't stop AI now. And there's the conversation, I'm so glad this conversation hasn't been about AI, because I'm not an expert in it, but I can see what's happening and I can see how companies are investing in it. And I have some days where I'm like, what's happening to the human race? Because I've read Sapiens and I'm quite obsessed with Yuval Harari. If you've not read his books, they're amazing. I haven't yet read Nexus because I'm too scared to, where it's all about how we're evolving in terms of automation as a species, right? But actually, if we are to endure as professionals in our industry and to remain content and joyful in what we do, which is, after 26 years, I still feel as joyful and passionate and happy to do the job that I do, it is because my greater purpose is not aligned to money, it's not aligned to, being the biggest or the boldest. To me, maybe we should have defined what success looks like at the start. It's about the impact that you have on that person that you're dealing with, which is why it's never about me. It's always about the people that you're engaging with. And I think at the very heart of recruitment, it should have always been called something else, maybe human capital, I don't know. I think that still sounds a bit too perfunctory, but we are dealing with human beings in their lives. And if anyone's going to sort of come away from this podcast with any feeling, it's what can you do today to make someone feel that they have trusted you for the right reasons, and that means that my job here is done today.
Yeah. Well, look, that is a wrap for today's episode. Like, literally, that flew by. I've absolutely loved this conversation, and a huge thank you to you, Lysha, for sharing all your insights on, we talked about a lot, but ultimately the behaviours that make great recruiters stand out. We've gone over, obviously, relationship building, staying, adaptable processes, loads of stuff. So there's so much that we can all take away from this conversation. And to everybody listening, I really do encourage you to think about how you can incorporate what we've spoken about today, these behaviours, into your day-to-day work to elevate your approach, elevate your results, and elevate the experience that you give your candidates and your clients, your customers, people, your colleagues as well, people you come into contact with. So thank you all for tuning in to the Recruitment Podcast. Don't miss our next episode, where we're going to cover how to build a personal brand in recruitment with somebody I know you know very well, Lysha, Joel Lalgi. So that is episode 3, which I'm super excited for. I am praying my voice comes back by then, but it may not have by then. So see you all then. Thank you so much to everybody who's listened. And thank you again, Lysha, for joining us.
Welcome. Bye.